Your range of motion is unique to you, and it is unique to all of the variables, emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual experiences you've had in your life. Now we can start digging through all of that stuff, and we can get a list as long as ourselves when we start doing that. We can get into inner child work, ancestral, past lives. But what if there's a way easier way? Okay. Our range of motion, if we learn how to, one, feel it, two, respect it, then we are working within our own boundaries. We are working in a space which nurtures and cocoons and holds dear our inner child. We are working in a way that respects the survival that became a habit, that became necessary, that became locked on in us based on a situation we found ourselves in. When we work in that space, we're working in our true potential, our freedom. And when we work in that space, our circulation is at its best and our breath is at its best. So we're going to explore range of motion today, and I'm wearing these gorgeous jeans, which has this belt on, which I can get rid of, which I bought from the op shop, $5, love it. They suck. They're the worst jeans, and I'm going to explain why. But first off, if you're new here, I'm Julie, and I help people who are feeling let down by mainstream and alternative medicines, therapies, practices, or who aren't able to find long-term, like actual cure. They have to keep going back to get something done to help them get through, to help them maintain, to help them cope. Okay, I've been there. It was an endless hamster wheel of trying to be healthy, and it didn't work. So I transformed exhaustion, dysfunction, and breathlessness into effortless strength, balanced energy, and all of this is empowered by my own unique breath rhythm, which is relevant to my range of motion. So basically, I no longer fear my body, I no longer fear my mind, emotions, or my spirit. They are all free to express and to adventure as is for my highest good, which is expanding. Like, all of the options are expanding for me regularly. So this lack of fear is where you all can be too. And if you comment rest under this video, you're going to get the link to the first stage of what I share, and that is learning how to rest in a way that your nervous system can recognize that you're safe, that all of your organ systems can come back into harmony and working optimally. Circulation can improve, your mind can become grounded, your emotions are able to flow, be felt, and your spirit starts to clean up. So back to range of motion. So there's 3 pillars in my movement. Ta-da! 1 is your unique breath, 2 is your range of motion, 3 is dynamic posture, which is a combination of your unique breath and your range of motion. So range of motion, I'm using these jeans here to example what I'm talking about. Range of motion is in a single joint, and every joint has a specific range of motion that it should be able to go through. If our muscles were all resting at neutral, i.e. if we'd never had any trauma, if we'd never done anything repetitively, if we'd never done anything to be a good girl, if we'd never sat up straight, if we'd never held a good posture, if we'd never counted a breath, if we hadn't done all of these things that we're taught to do for our safety, we would have neutral muscles and our range of motion would be complete in every single joint that we've got. But we don't have that life. We literally have the opposite of that life. So every time we have forcefully, mentally controlled a movement in our body, held a posture in our body, counted our breath, pushed our breath into a certain area, we have started a cycle of habitual tension. Okay? The habitual tension holds muscles contracted, joints lose their space and freedom, which is what these jeans show. And honestly, these jeans were hot. I put them on, I'm like, yeah, looking good. And then the next day I got up and I went, I'm going to wear these on my 4-hour trip to pick up some foster puppies. And boy, was I sorry about 20 minutes into that trip, because they are not made for freedom. They are made to look amazing. So now they're crappy work jeans, and I don't even like wearing them for that because they restrict my freedom. So here's how it works. For whatever reason, their knees don't allow for bending. And when the knees don't allow for bending, it pulls my pelvis into this position. And so I can't bend my knees, and then this has to give because the denim's not cut correctly. And then this has to clench on, okay? So because I don't have the freedom in my knees, I lose the freedom, like there's compensation happens in my pelvis. Then holding myself up and trying not to fall over happens in my upper body. Okay, so let's get rid of these. And I prepared earlier, so, just kidding. Whoop-a. So these are nice organic cotton tights. And you can already see I can get a better butt movement, so better circulation, better range of motion in my pelvis. Already, like, so much comfortable, so much more free. So we're going to explore the pelvis for range of motion. And this is really interesting because the keys that you are looking for, and I'll start with this, you cannot feel what you're doing. You cannot feel where there's a habitual muscle holding you tight. You also aren't aware of your automatic compensations that you make. You also aren't aware of the thing that you do automatically to lock things back, hold things down so that you can push a bigger movement. Okay, because that's what we've been taught to do. So with the ball and socket, I'm starting there because that's like the almost the key to our survival system activation. The psoas muscle. Oh, I've got this pink. See how much freer I move? Beautiful. The psoas muscle runs from the lower ribs at the back of the body, along the spine, across the ball and socket, and into the upper thigh bone. Now, whenever anything happens, mental, physical, emotional, or spiritual, that scares us, that contracts. And it's almost like, I won't say the first step because I don't believe in first steps, but or beginning or answers. Like that's, we're all too unique and individual in the variables that we've got. How we function, 100% is the same. But what happens is it contracts. So it pulls us forward at the pelvis, thrusts the ribs forward, pushing the breath high into the chest, stopping the lower lungs from filling. And it holds us in this position, ready to run or fight. Now, if we don't ever realize that we're safe, this doesn't let go. The problem is even if we curate our external world to be absolutely perfect, internally, I believe we are all being born into this state. And maybe it's a evolution of the human, the human biology, into something new and exciting. But I'm not seeing that as being healthy or beneficial. Like, things are kind of unsettled at the moment. So we're born with this state. So that looks like colic as a baby. It looks like urinary tract infections for babies. It looks like pelvis out of alignment. It's breathing difficulties. It's we're born to this state where this is already locked on because that's how our parents were when we were conceived. Epigenetics up, however, So if we never release back and come back into neutral, we never get our full range of motion back into our ball and socket joint. If your feet go out, like if you're happy standing with your feet out, like this, if this is how you stand, it's because that muscle, think this muscle here has contracted, so it's pulling this up. To stop us from falling over, the glutes activate and lock on, the butt gets pinched tight, The abdominal muscles have to work extra hard to stop us falling over. But if this is how you stand in your jandals or your pluggers and your stubby shorts or whatever, this indicates you've got this. If you've got a sway back, if you're kind of like here, if you're kind of tight at the front, tight at the back, like everything's short, which is what I was, everything was tight. Yes, you've still got this happening. Even though you've tucked in your butt and you've clenched in your abs and everything's good, you still started in this position. The fight, flight, ready to go. So how do we test this? First, we have to accept we can't feel what we're doing. We have to accept we're not going to feel, or you have to accept, I've already done this, you're not going to feel what I'm talking about. You have to accept that this is a state we're all in, and we can't feel it because when we're in this state, the nervous system numbs us and gives us pain-killing and feel-good hormones and chemicals, right? Every move we make when we're in this state, we get pain-killing and feel-good hormones and chemicals because we're pushing outside our boundaries. We're putting ourselves in an unsafe position. We're kind of going to war with what we've got. So we're constantly pumping the adrenaline, pumping the cortisol, pumping the feel-good hormones. Eventually that runs out, and that's where we get our adrenal fatigue and our chronic pains and things. And so when we are in that state, we, one, don't want to feel ourselves, we hurt, two, can't feel ourselves. So the test for how to explore what you've got is get yourself a pillow. Let me get a towel to show you. Get yourself a pillow, put it on the floor, and you want that to be at the correct height. So if you need 2 towels, get 2 towels. But you want that to be at the correct height now. What's the best angle here for that? Okay, that's pretty good. So I want you to see how this moves and how this moves. That's not going to work. Sorry. Right. So you get the pillow and you want to be able to gently nod, little tiny nods of your chin, like there's no effort. You're not forcing it or jerking it. It's nice and easy. Then in this position, before you do anything, you're going to just scan through the back of your body. How much can you feel resting on the ground? You know, if you're like, your ribs are thrust up, you've got space under here, you can't feel that. And maybe you don't know, and this is all okay. So you just scan, how am I feeling? Okay? And you try not to do this and move around like I just did. Because what you want us to feel when you lie down, immediately you're going to feel exactly the layers of tension that you have when you're standing up. Okay, and this is the key. On the ground, we can feel ourselves. We've got the floor pressing on us. We can feel that there's pressure under the back of the pelvis. We can feel there's space under the lower back, or we can't feel that touching. We can feel there's grinding and pointy bits in our shoulder blades. And we can feel our heads thrust back and our necks sore. Or we can feel whatever it is we feel. Okay, and this is okay. You don't have to fix anything here. We're talking about the range of motion in here, and all of this is relevant. So if we then want to work on, we get an idea of what we can feel and we want to explore what range of motion we've got in our leg, we let our leg fall directly out until we feel the pelvis tilt or the abdominals lock on so that we can push it further. And we feel like what happens when we let our leg out. Maybe you just don't want to let it out. It's too stiff. It's not going anywhere. And the glute activates to stop you moving. You just feel, what have you got? And wherever the movement starts to happen in the body, wherever you start to grab on, wherever you start to push through, that's taking you outside your range of motion. Because none of this is relevant for how this should be able to move. So you can let the knee fall out, and you get to that point where you're like, okay, well, that's kind of feels like if I go further, it's going to tilt my pelvis. From there, you've got a ball in a socket, you can just let the leg glide forward, extending out, bringing it back up. And you want to explore the free space that you've got where nothing else is moving or activating or compensating. In the beginning, you're not going to know. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't feel anything. That's how numb I was to what I have. But the more you stay in a really small range of motion, the safer your body feels, the less pain-killing and feel-good hormones are going to be numbing you. And you're going to start feeling what you've got. So with the first stage of this, which is rest, all we're doing is positioning ourselves on the ground or in bed in positions where we're supported. So we've got a belt around our legs so that we can let the inner thighs go, we can let the belly go, and the legs stay upright, stable. We've got pillows and towels propping different parts of our body based on the positions we're putting ourselves in and what we're trying to achieve, which is release. Now, the ultimate test is, I just have to move, there's a bit of a wall in the way. Oh, wait, I'm going closer, that's wrong. Okay. The ultimate test is you can lie here and you can do this and you can get a feeling here, and then you can let your leg go straight down and feel what happens to your body. When your legs are out, is it dragging your lower ribs forward? Is it tilting you forward? Is it hurting your lower back? Is it grinding the pelvis or the tailbone into the floor? Is your butt pinching? And this is going to tell you what your range of motion is. Or are you doing this and locking yourself down? Every time you lock yourself down and push your legs out, you are going to war with your body. Every time you push any joint outside its range of motion, you are going to war with what you have. You are going to war with your unique being, your unique variables. You are ignoring your own boundaries. You are ignoring your inner child, the restrictions that you've held in place to keep you safe. You're ignoring all of that, which is stressful for the nervous system, which makes that psoas shorten, pull the lower ribs forward, and ready you for fighting. So there is no correct posture for you to hold. If you are activating in any way muscles to hold you upright, you are restricting range of motion in your joints. You are restricting how your breath can move through your body. You no longer have dynamic posture. You have effort-filled posture, requiring effort. You no longer have your unique breath because it can't move freely. It's restricted by the muscle tension that you are holding yourself up with. This is very stressful for your nervous system, and there are these beliefs out there that getting your body upright and held in a position until it shudders is good for you. That's not good for you. That's pumping you full of feel-good and pain-killing hormones to try and get you through. It is not going to allow the deep inner tensions to release if you're putting yourself under so much pressure that you're shuddering and shaking. But it is going to mask what you've got. And you're going to think something magic has happened because you've shuddered and shaked, because you're being pumped full of hormones and chemicals that make you feel good. But it's not good. So I help people to step away from relying on the external experts, practices, therapies, and supplements and treatments that they are relying on to keep themselves going, to maintain themselves, to be able to push through, to be able to achieve these amazing feats that do nothing but exhaust and drain us. I am not motivated or inspired by people who degrade any aspect of their being to achieve something in one aspect. So by that I mean I've watched friends go through bodybuilding competitions and they talk about how they give themselves depression and they mess up their hormones. I'm not a fan of that. It hurts to watch people do that to themselves and think they've achieved something good. I am not a fan of watching people running marathons and having to be carried over the finish line, or even better, dying as they cross the finish line. I'm not impressed by that. We live in a world filled with war, filled with degradation, filled with downtrodden and oppression. If we stop doing that within ourselves, perhaps the world around us will change. So I have stopped going to war with myself. I live without supplements. I live without relying on treatments, remedies, or therapies. I know my body better than anybody else knows it. And so if I get stuck, I go and intuitively, I pick a therapist. I pick a modality. I see a sign on the street and I'm like, I'm going to try that. And I go in there to learn something about what I know I can feel at this point in time. And that is freedom, that is autonomously healthy. So the rest is the first stage. Resting in a position where those tensions which are restricting your range of motion have the ends released back towards themselves. The best way of describing that is like when you've got a tangled string and you want to pull the string straight. If you just look at that and go pull, you can knot that tangle. If you release the ends back towards the middle, you can untangle it and it will release itself. This is where your unique breath comes in. Your unique breath is what untangles the tension, the fascial tension, however you word it, that is restricting your range of motion and making standing upright exhausting. So comment rest below. I will send you the direct link to the online guided rest library where you get a range of different positions that you utilize in your day when you are sleeping, something you are going to do anyway. You start putting these new supported positions into your sleep. If you like reading books, you use these positions. If you like staring at the TV, you put yourself in this position. If you like gaming, you put yourself in this position. And you give your body the space where it's safe for a moment and it's the breath is able to start unraveling the tensions. Once you have rested and you've unraveled some of the tensions, you've got much more to explore safely and you've got a much more open mind because everything is integrated. There is no separation. So thank you, and I hope you have fun exploring your ball and socket joint and come back for the unique breath and dynamic posture.